Hello everyone, today we're playing some Skyrim. Ooh, Orcish Maze. But I want that. We're currently here at Uttering Hills Cave. Why? Eh, happened to be along the way. Ooh. Do I have any more destruction perks? Yes, I do. Deep freeze. Ooh, that's helpful. That's an extra 25% damage. What does that bring my current spell to? 317. And it will multiply by 5 at max distance. That's 6,000 damage. Wait, no. I have never felt so disgraced at myself for a math problem. I was doing this stuff at 5 years old. What is wrong with me? That would be 1,500 damage. Which is really not bad. That at max distance that could take out most high level enemies. There aren't many enemies in the game that... Okay, I just can't hit. I can't hit anything. Ma'am, close your legs. You too, sir. Starting to smell very funky in here. I know this probably sounds gross, but I could not imagine how bad people smelled back in the day. Like, it wasn't even all that long ago that, when you think about it on the sense of time scale, like, it wasn't all that long ago that people only took a bath maybe once a month. And I know you're thinking, well, that was like 500 years ago or so. Do you really think 500 years ago was all that long ago? When you think about it, I have a great-grandfather who is almost 100 years old. He's in his 90s. Or close to it. That's only like 4 generations. It's not as long ago as you would expect. And when you think of it on a technological scale, it's really not that long ago. So, like, why... No, more specifically, I legitimately cannot imagine how bad it would be. I could not. It would be horrendous. I could not see it as anything else. Ooh, you had ebony arrows. Thank you. And some gold and a lockpick and some iron arrows. I mean, that's not as good, but still good. But the point I'm making here is, people think, oh wow, an era like Skyrim is in would be wonderful. No, it would not. None of us would be able to survive I mean, some of us might, but it would be a miserable experience. Especially when you have to, like, shut off your basic instinct to recoil at smells in order to not be attacked by someone for calling them stinky. It's very funny because all it would take is meeting one smelly person who just happens to be stronger than you. I know. It's an odd hypothetical thing, but legitimately, I don't think many people would survive in a time like this. There's a reason that the number of people were so low and not in the thousands everywhere. And that was disease, famine, so many things. Things that most of us have never had to deal with a day in our lives. Well, except for the disease part, but you know. I don't think that the disease that we deal with now is anything like what they dealt with back then. The stuff they dealt with back then was enough to take them out, so, like, the common cold was enough to take them out, because you didn't have access to basic, for one, basic hygiene, two, basic medical care. Their basic medical care was hitting you over the head with a hammer. Literally in some cases. I'm not even joking. Lobotomizing people was a common thing. Simply for a headache. It's kind of like the whole, oh, I would survive the zombie apocalypse thing. A lot of people who think they would really wouldn't. Can you fight off a full-grown man who has no limitations on their strength without getting bitten or ingesting some of their fluid in some way? Whether it be eating, drinking, or any of that, like, the zombie apocalypse is actually even worse than living in medieval times. Not solely for the fact that health care and all of that will be halted. That does contribute, but, essentially, if you think about it, how a zombie works is they're undead. They typically are shown to have no sense of pain. Meaning, if you know anything about the human body, zombies would be terrifying. It's our sense of pain that keeps us from using the full brunt of our strength. The average adult human, regardless of anything, based on age, gender, or whatever, has the strength to break their own bones just by contracting their muscles. We just subconsciously limit ourselves from doing so. Which is where stuff like hysterical strength comes in. In moments of panic and hysteria, we can perform feats that seem unnatural. But that power is always there. We just subconsciously limit ourselves from using it. And a zombie? No. I don't think they would have that. So imagine someone being able to just break your bones by gripping your arm. As if it were nothing. Imagine someone being able to leap onto the roof of a house from a standing point. I mean, sure, the bodies would break down quickly, but surviving an encounter with a zombie like that? Oh no. Your best bet is to not engage. Okay. There was nothing left to discover there, so we're good. But the point here is, a lot of people are like, oh, I could live in this situation, I could do this. A lot of them underestimate it. A lot of them. I personally think, and I know saying this after all that probably sounds biased, which usually a viewpoint on these topics is, I personally think that I could survive a zombie apocalypse. Maybe medieval times. Maybe. There's a decent amount of gaps in my knowledge that I don't think I'd be able to live properly with. I want to discover what this place is real quick. Okay, it's going to be around here somewhere. No, it's going to be straight ahead. I should be able to scale this. I'm not pulling out the carpet for that. Okay, I'm pulling out the carpet. Or maybe not. Yeah, I had a feeling. But I do believe I could probably survive a zombie apocalypse solely for the fact that I typically don't interact with people as often. I'm not the outgoing, hey, how are you doing kind of guy, so for one, that's going to make a huge difference. I'm not going to be looking at someone just standing in the middle of an alleyway saying, oh, are you okay? And then getting my face eaten off. I definitely wouldn't be doing that. I would, however, have the issue of not being fit enough to outrun a zombie or anything like that. Because while I am in better shape than most people in my area, I also lack good lungs. Asthma is not fun.
You're nothing.
I'm trying to get over there. I don't want to launch you off the cliffside. In doing that, I think I've kind of doomed myself. It's fine. I do think that my general knowledge on certain topics would be what gives me somewhat of a fighting chance in scenarios like that. I'm not gonna say, oh, I could take on a horde of zombies or something. No, far from it. What would save me is probably the fact that, for one, I naturally, for some reason, am able to sneak around. People tend to not notice me if I don't, like, bring attention to myself. I've had bad habits of scaring people without intending to, because I move quietly. Which, in a survival scenario where every other person in the world is out to get you, yeah, that's kind of important. I guess we're going in here. Not part of the mission, but, you know. Oh, something's gonna be toasty. The point I'm making here is knowledge and skill are what you would need to survive scenarios like that, and a lot of people highly underestimate exactly what it is that knowledge should be, or highly overestimate what knowledge they have. And that would be everyone's downfall. Like, most people would think, oh yeah, a car, so helpful. You do realize most cars, with the exception of electric vehicles, or very, very eco-efficient gas-based vehicles, are rather noisy. And, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I were a man-eating monster with insane amounts of strength, I would charge at anything with noise. Mostly because, I mean, at that point, your brain is probably decomposing like the rest of your body. And let's face it, like I spoke about earlier, humans naturally have the strength to do so much more than you would expect, which can include ripping apart thin pieces of metal. I've seen people do that to aluminum rather easily. And let's face it, most cars are made of stainless steel and aluminum and plastic.
I don't know how you made it this far, but you'll go no farther. I'll let you live this time. I don't know how you made it this far, but you'll go no farther.
I think he's
Never
glitched.
should have come here.
Yeah, you're right. You should have never come here. But, ooh. Okay. I like it. But my point was quite simple. I don't know what the heck that is. I'll take it, though. That's not a big deal. People highly misinterpret and overestimate themselves to think that they're capable of things that they're not when it comes to these topics. At that point, like, sure, a car would be useful to get around long distances, if you can find one that isn't insanely loud. Problem is, at that point, okay, are you going to be able to hotwire it? Are you going to be able to prevent the alarms from going off? Are you going to be able to maintain it? And I don't mean, oh, just change out a tire here and there. No, are you going to be able to fix any potential issues that come up, like radiator leaking, a
Picked a bad time to get lost, friend.
oil leak? And an oil leak can be in so many places, and depending on where it's located, can cause so many different issues and be so difficult to fix. But do you think that most people in this world know how to do all that? No. If they did, we wouldn't have mechanics as a profession. It wouldn't be a valuable trade. Which honestly, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. While I do have respect for mechanics, I don't think people should rely as heavily on them as they do. I think, for one, you shouldn't have to go to a mechanic to get your oil changed, or to know how to change a tire, or balance your tires. I think that should be common knowledge. It's overwhelmingly common that people just overestimate themselves in this stuff, and then whenever it comes time to actually, like, do stuff on the topic, they're like, oh, well, somebody always does this for me. And that, you can't do that. You legitimately can't. I did not want to take that armor. If there is no proper society or everyone's in a panic, you're not gonna have that option. And that's the point I'm getting at. People these days do not comprehend the severity of their lack of knowledge. Knowledge is power. That is a saying for a reason. And honestly, the people who just gather random facts and stuff would, even if they're not in the best of shape, would probably outlast most people who are in better shape in such scenarios. I know it's been quite a long tangent and an odd topic, but I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of relevant because of the Draugr in Skyrim, but also it's not relevant at all. I just had to explain a few things about that because it really does get on my nerves a little bit that so many people are like, oh yeah, I'd survive this scenario 100%. I would even thrive in it. And I'm like, sitting there thinking about all the variables, all the things that could happen and go wrong. I'm like, I don't think you would, buddy. And then they get all upset. They're like, what do you mean I wouldn't? I could do this, this, and this. And I'm like, okay, well, what about this, that, and that? Have you thought about those scenarios? That's a good bit of dwarven metal. And gold. What's in here? Good enough. Okay, I could continue further that direction, but there's also this location over here. The whole point of that tangent was really just to, like, point out some things that people get wrong about topics like that. And honestly, a lot of that probably came from the fact that I just finished watching The Army of Darkness recently. It wasn't the first time I've seen it, but it just brought up some interesting topics for me. Because a lot of people don't understand. Also, a lot of people would think, oh, well, but guns. Those would help me. Well, depending on the situation, can you get a hold of one? Can you? Also then, guns are loud. Like, really loud. Even the quietest gun is going to be about the sound of someone clapping rather loudly. And that is something that will attract attention. That I know I keep bouncing on the topic back and forth, but yeah, I'll stop talking about it. It's a very fun thing to speak on, though. I can't deny that. It just annoys me that so many people lack a basic understanding or thought process about the situation. And then act as if they're experts. That's my main qualm with the situation. Oh, I've been fighting the Dwarven Sphere Masters, really? I did not expect them to be that high level. Aye. Oh my. Okay, I had a feeling that was going to cover the majority of this area. so it was best to get it out of the way. What are we getting around the corner? A bunch of cobwebs, apparently. Are we done now? Excuse me? I stood there and the screen shaked. I'm not a fan of that. Okay, seems like I've covered all the areas. Deep markers. Well, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed watching, and have a wonderful day. Until next time, everyone.